fine?
Hey, Brynne, have you seen Steel Magnolias?
Oh my god, yes, I love that movie.
Jonesy, you've seen it, right?
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
You've seen Dracula, right?
Oh, I love that movie. It's so good.
Lena, you've seen it. What do you think? Filmspringa!
Hey, Brynne, have you seen Weekend at Bernie's?
Oh my god! Weekend at Bernie's saved my life.
Jonesy, you have to have seen it.
Oh my god! No, I haven't. Of course not. You've seen Nightmare on Elm Street. It's the best.
That movie scared the out of me when I was a
Lena,
kid.
did it scare the out of you? I have not seen that one, and I will be praying for all of your souls. It's your Rumspringa, Lena.
Haven't seen it.
It's showtime!
Hey, all, welcome to another episode of Filmspringa, the show about your favorite films and your sheltered friend who has never seen them. I am Tony, and I'm here with...
Hey guys, I'm Brynne. And this is...
I'm your sheltered friend, Jonsy.
Lena, a.k.a. Jonsy.
Yeah.
This week's movie, everybody... I am so excited to get into this with you two, but it's the 1990 film Mermaids, starring Cher, Christina Ricci, Winona Ryder, and Bob Hoskins. Yes.
So damn cute in this movie.
I know.
And
so we're going to get into this film, everything about it.
Body positivity.
I know. Thank you for that. Yeah. For some reason, he's very sexy in this film.
I could not stop smiling the entire time he was on screen. I was just
confidence.
I was smiling, and the opposite of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, that's right. He's in Roger Rabbit. That's right, and he's not at all.
The opposite of Smee and Hook.
I thought
Did
Smee was
you
sexy.
know that because of this film, you know how in this film Mermaids, there is a scene for New Year's where it's a costume party, and he dresses up as a pirate.
Yeah.
Next film he does is Hook, playing
that was his
Smee.
next.
Yeah.
Oh,
He came out in 19, or it was 92,
Had to be
91,
91 or
91,
92, right?
something like that, if I remember right. But I thought that was interesting. Yeah. But I love this film. This is my pick of the week. I love this film. So, Brynne, let's start with the plot. Give everybody should we watch the trailer? We forgot to do that last
Let's
time.
watch the trailer.
Let's watch the trailer.
Yeah. I feel
And
like
get
that's
everybody
better.
in the mood.
Ooh, I play my favorite game. What's the worst weather in the world? Oh, now don't tell me. Let me guess. Who could it be? Could it be me?
Charlotte's mother is many things.
Charlotte, we're Jewish.
Normal isn't one of them.
Okay, how do I look?
Like a woman about to go forth in sin.
Oh, good. Exactly the look I was hoping for.
That's how Rachel liked it.
1, 2, 3.
And that's why Charlotte didn't.
Sometimes I feel like you're the child and I'm the grown-up.
What is this?
Cheese ball pick-me-ups, and for dessert, marshmallow kebabs. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
I'm trying not to drive too fast.
Well, after my mom, nothing seems fast.
They have almost nothing in common.
Or don't do anything I would. Are you coming home with me?
Another night.
But there's one thing they do share. Men.
You kissed him? How could you do that?
Well, if I were you, Charlotte, I'd go easy. I know that you're planning a celibate life, but with half my chromosomes, I think that might be tough.
Has your mother ever talked to you about sex?
Oh, yeah.
I can get pregnant if I hang my clothes next to a man's suit.
We talk about everything. She's a wonderful mother.
Why did you think you were pregnant? You're still a virgin.
Trust me, I know about these things.
She's doing this because she has a problem, and she's probably too frightened to talk to you about.
Why would she be frightened?
Like mother, like daughter.
Maybe your life works for you, but it doesn't work for me. And I want to stay.
And do what?
Finish high school.
Great start. What's your major, town tramp?
No, Mom, the town already has one.
Cher.
I don't always know what I'm doing. It's not like you and your sister came with a book of instructions.
Bob Hoskins.
You're a hell of a woman, Rachel.
I know.
Winona Ryder.
Mary O'Brien, she dances around naked, screaming about her boyfriend's quivering loins. Shut up, Charlotte. Shut up.
Mermaids.
I can do my mermaid walk. I'm going to get my mermaid car and hit the mermaid road.
And get the mermaid out of here.
Oh, I so I'll be fresh for the party.
It makes me so happy.
It makes me so happy.
That trailer is literally like the best parts of the film.
Yeah.
Which in the whole film is great, but all of like the really good lines are like in that trailer. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's a very quotable movie.
It is very quotable. So give us a synopsis of what it's about, Brynne.
So, Mermaids is set, what is it, the 60s?
1963.
1963. It is about a single mom who plays by her own rules while being beautiful and having an amazing body. And she has 2 daughters, and I think in the beginning of the movie, they say they've moved 17 times that the eldest daughter can count. And it's just about a raven-haired mom and her raven-haired daughters playing life by their own rules, moving around, having an awesome car, and living their lives. So the plot of the movie really is just like they move to this small town from another small town. And it's just like the normal things that moms go through with adolescents. I knew it was my job to talk about the plot of this movie. While it was happening, I thought, what am I going to say? While I love this movie, I was like, what is this movie about? What happens in this
And
I have
why is
something
it
to
called
offer.
Mermaids?
Why is it? That was my number one thing. Why is this movie called Mermaids?
It's
There's
never
one
explained.
in which she dresses up, one character dresses up like a mermaid, Cher, obviously, and for a costume party, and that's it. Why is this movie called Mermaids?
Fish out of water, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, that they were like, instead of being, it would make more sense if it was called Goldfish, because the daughter, Christina Ricci, keeps telling the mom to dress up like a goldfish.
Yeah.
Or and maybe if it had said mermaids out of water or something, because I get what you're saying, like instead of fish out of water, they're like elevating it to something more glamorous, like mermaids out of water, but it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, when I was
About mermaids or adjacent to mermaids.
they don't find a mermaid.
Yeah, there is some water involved, mostly pools.
Yeah, in a bathtub. There's a lot of bathtub scenes in this film.
Yeah, and a fabulous mermaid costume, but not enough to hang your hat on.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was like wondering, why mermaids? What do you think, Jonsy? Why mermaids?
That one I don't know.
You're just as stumped as everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, if Jonsy can't figure it out, then we're all lost.
I know.
Well, I do have a theory as far as plot. I think you're looking from the wrong character's point of view. Mm-hmm. I think if you look at it from Cher's point of view, you're like, what is this movie? Has no plot, it has no story, what's it about? However, if you look at it from the teenager's point of view, what is this movie about? It's about a teenager's sexual awakening.
Yeah, it's a coming of age story is what it is.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yes.
I would say it is. You don't think so?
If you are looking at it through Winona's character's lens, then yeah.
I would say,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe.
Coming of age, mother-daughter film for sure.
I love the women empowerment. Like it was
Yes.
all very much about the female unit.
Yeah.
I just feel like there were so many sides. I mean, I love this movie, but like I feel like they don't get too deep into any of it. Like they don't get too deep into Cher and Bob Hoskins' relationship. They don't get too deep into even Winona Ryder's sexuality. It's just sort of like she thought she was pregnant from a kiss, and then she wasn't. She gets fingered by a gynecologist who somehow knows she has a hymen in 2.5 seconds.
Which I always thought was really interesting.
No bedside manner.
So disturbed by that.
Yeah.
Me too. I have notes.
So the thing I found interesting with this film was it went through 2 directors before they landed on the final director of the film. The original director, let me see if I remember his name or if I can pull it up, but I think his last name was Oz. It was Frank Oz, I believe, was the original director.
From Muppets?
I think so. But the original concept of the film they wanted to do was much darker than what we
Yeah, I've read
see,
that.
where Charlotte actually is suicidal, or she commits suicide at one point in the film, and Cher was not having it. So Cher and Winona Ryder were bumping heads with the original director, and so they got rid of him. Somebody else came in and did it. But it was finally, I want to say Laz. It was some Swedish director. I can't pronounce his name, but I think he's the one who ended up doing the final directing of the film. But it's based off of a novel, is what it's originally based off of. And the novel by Patty Dan is the author. She watched the film like before it was released, and she loved it. She thought it was. Yeah, the one thing I found interesting that she said is that she watched it without the soundtrack in the music, and she loved it. And then when she watched the finished film, it was really hard for her to watch it with the soundtrack, because she's never, when she was writing the book, she wasn't thinking about
and
the
it was
soundtrack.
probably more cerebral for her, and like the movie is very much about the soundtrack, like the songs and like giving his kiss,
setting
and
in the
very much of the time. That's cool. I would never watch a movie without the soundtrack.
I know. That's so bizarre. And Christina Ricci, a very young Christina Ricci, I think she was 9 or 10. This was the first film she's ever done. This was her film debut. I know.
They all look very much alike. And I did read that Cher was difficult on this set.
Really?
Yeah, because they went through, I think at least the first director left because Cher was difficult, and they had originally cast another girl
as the daughter, who I forget the actress's name. I had it
Emily,
written down, something.
Emily something.
I had it written down and now I can't find it. God dang it. But anyway, so she originally got cast in the film, but she looked nothing like Cher. They couldn't be daughters. She was blonde. So she ended up suing or the production company, the producers and all of that, won the case, but her career kind of died after that.
No, I did a deep dive. I'm sorry, guys. This has nothing to do with the movie. I did a deep dive. So she said that their first day on set, like this, she was a rising English actress.
Yes.
Very hot. She got offered the lead in Pretty Woman.
Really?
Turned it down to do Mermaids.
And
the first day on set, Cher goes, "You don't genetically look like me," and had her fired.
Wow.
And then she said her career so she lost out on, not only did she lose out, but she was like, I turned down Pretty Woman for this.
Yeah. That's awful.
So then she sued them.
Yeah, she settled out of court, I think, and then her career kind of never took off after that.
It was like suicidal, and she had a lot of problems. We could just do a side story.
I know.
This is when I did a deep dive. I was like, how dare you, Cher? She could have dyed her hair.
I know. See, you guys were talking about this. Sorry. My dog is sick, so apologies for vacating the frame.
If you were listening to the podcast, you would not have noticed, because Tony and I talked for a really long time.
Sorry about that, guys. But I was going to say, I did see that this was Christina Ricci's very, very, very first film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
We said that. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're gone.
For those of you listening to the podcast, Lena left and came back, and she has information. But yes, very cute, tiny Christina Ricci, her first film.
Yeah. And this was Winona Ryder's 8th or 9th film at this point. And she was 18 when she filmed this.
She looked young.
Yeah, very young. But I also found, the song that Cher sings in the Shoop Shoop song is from this movie. And it hit #1 in the UK for 5 weeks. Did you know that?
No,
and it hit here, Billboard. It hit on, it was number 33 on the billboards here, in the US.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cher can do anything. This totally also doesn't have to do with the podcast, but my favorite tweet of all time is from Cher. And it's when Trump was doing all the stuff with the Dreamers, and Cher tweets this thing. And says, like, if you can, you have to take a dreamer into your home. You have to make sure that they're protected. And the woman tweets back, like subtweets her and goes, "Oh yeah, Cher, I'll believe it when I see it." And Cher tweets back in all caps, "Then keep your eyes open, bitch."
Oh my God.
I love Cher. And watching
love
this movie,
Cher.
I was thinking Cher's a good actress. I guess
She
I
is.
never
I
that.
mean,
She
she's
is.
won. She won for Moonstruck, and I believe she has another
Mhm.
Oscar. I forget what for, but she was nominated originally for Silkwood with Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes.
And then she did The Mask, which I think she got a lot of buzz, but she didn't get nominated for that one.
Yeah, she's very
Witches of
good.
Eastwick was around this time too.
Love that movie.
I know. I love that
Never
movie
seen
too.
it. Never seen Moonstruck or the other one you
Why
said.
am I not surprised?
Of course not. The whole point of this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Cher was a sinner in my household, so I
Cher was?
Cher. Yeah.
Oh, I can see.
Cher's a
Mama
sinner
Papa
in her
John's.
own household, and she's happy about it.
Yeah. So she based the character of Rachel Flax off of her mom.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that.
In an interview, she said she based it off of her mom. And all of the costuming of Cher was Cher bringing in Polaroids of what her mom wore. So a lot of all of Cher's costuming was done by Cher. She had a
cute.
huge input and costumed her after her mother.
I love that.
I
That's
know.
amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
I know. I don't know, this film, they said that it could have gone two ways. It could have gone very nostalgic because it takes place in 1963. But the reason why it worked was because of Cher, because Cher was an icon in the 60s, in the mid to late 60s. So for her to play a character in 1963, it worked. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Then it's like a parallel universe. Does Cher also exist in this universe?
I know. And
Does Rachel Flax listen to Cher?
I know.
Did Rachel Flax sing along to Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves?
Does she? I wonder. And Cher has a sister. So growing up, Cher said this film was her mom and her sister. She was the older of the two, and her sister was the youngest. So.
Was her mom a single mom as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
This movie meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
That's
No
right.
wonder she was so difficult on it.
She was like, I want it my way. But when you watch interviews with Cher, she has that air about her where she's like, you don't like it? Fuck it. Fuck
Oh
fuck
my
it.
God, yeah.
And
Not fuck it. Fuck you.
But this movie came out in the 90s with a lot of other films in the 90s. And a lot of people don't know this film, or it gets
a lot of people don't know about this movie.
Which is
It's
really
sort of slipped through, but
surprising.
it's so great.
Yeah,
I think it's because it's about ladies.
That's true.
That's
You're
true.
right.
Gay men and other women love this film.
Yeah.
That's who loves it.
Speaking of which, Tony, let's talk about what this movie means to you.
Oh gosh.
Good
So
segue.
this is literally one of my favorite films of like all time. I love this film. I first watched it when I was probably in my early 20s, if not 18 or 19, and it was introduced to me by my uncle, my gay uncle, is the one who he was obsessed with the movie when it came out. He's introduced me to a lot of pop culture when I was younger. But when I saw this film, I was already had left home, all of that kind of stuff. I was on my own, doing my thing, and this film resonated with me because I saw a lot of Charlotte's character in me growing up, dealing with Jehovah's Witness, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness and super religious, knowing I was gay. And Jonsy, you're going to relate to this, that inner monologue that you always have, like everything you do is, God, please, God, don't strike me dead. Please, God, don't strike me dead.
I was praying all the time for every
Right?
sin.
Thank you. So was I as a kid. So when I watched this film, a lot of that was like, oh my God. But the other half was I wanted to be Rachel Flax. I thought she was so cool.
100%.
And just like
I can
gets
see
up,
that.
picks up, leaves, does everything her way. And Rachel Flax reminded me of my mom raising four kids all by herself. So this film, like for me, like resonated a lot because I saw a lot of parallels with what was going on, like in my life, not at the time, but as a kid, as a teenager, dealing with the religion, knowing I wasn't going to stay in the religion, all of that. But I had watched the film for many times after the first time for years, and then I hadn't watched it probably for a good, probably 2 or 3 years, and then I rewatched it again for this show, and it still resonated. It was still kind of triggering. I'm like, Okay. But I noticed a lot of things this time around that I didn't pick up on the film the first 100 times I seen it, which was very interesting for me. But yeah, that's how to me, it's a very nostalgic film and it makes me feel very happy. And I just relate to it a lot. How about you, Brynne? When was the first time you were exposed to Mermaids?
So I first saw Mermaids when I was in middle school. And it's funny because, I mean, you guys know if you've listened to the podcast that I had like no restrictions on what I watched at all. And my family, I grew up deeply Catholic. And I feel like I'm the least triggered out of the three of us by the Catholicism in this movie.
Yeah.
And you're the Catholic. And
I know.
Because I was never like that, but I knew people like that, and like all the saints and stuff, and all the stuff that she talks about were things that we learned about and talked about, and like all the repenting. So like when I watched it, I remember thinking it was funny, because I was like, yeah. But I just remember loving it. So rewatching this movie, I smiled the whole time. I was smiling the whole time.
Me too.
This is so sweet. I remember just thinking, like, what a sweet, wholesome movie. If you've listened to the podcast before, I
thought it was wholesome.
We are gonna argue about this later.
Oh, I could already feel it with Jonsy.
I remember thinking, what a lovely mother-daughter relationship, because I have a very fraught relationship with my mother, which has caused all my therapy. So you'll learn this about me. But I remember thinking, like, what an awesome mom who's like involved in her kids' lives and talking to them, and they're spending time together. And maybe it was also because I have 4 brothers and sisters that there were always too many of us to get one-on-one attention. But I remember thinking how sweet, and she's making them weird little hors d'oeuvres for breakfast.
I know.
And kebabs, and that's so cute. And they're doing crafts together, and like they get to go on adventures in the car and leave from town to town. And like, I don't know, I loved Cher. I thought that this was like such a nice family dynamic. You guys can't see this, but Lena is looking at me like I've grown a
I know. She's like, you guys did we watch the same film? And I have to agree with Brynne, and maybe it's because I grew up with my family looking like a single mom raising the kids by herself. So I was watching this going, oh, that's kind of how I grew up. Yes, it's endearing to me. Yeah, you know what I mean? Maybe that's why my viewpoint's a little different than Jonsy's.
And then also, just like the Winona Ryder character, when she's wishing for all that stuff, just like, please let me not lie so much. And I related to that as a young girl who lied a lot.
Right?
Just for no reason. So I have very sweet, fond memories.
Me too.
And then, rewatching it, I was just smiling the whole time. It made me so happy.
I know. I love the style of it. Before we get in, before we unpack Jones's opinion, we're going to talk a little more about the film. I do want to talk about the fashion of the film. You know the green sweater Cher wears?
Yes.
I don't know why I was obsessed with that.
Love
sweater
it. It's the way that it hangs on her.
I know.
Like, it's so
every one of her outfits.
You're absolutely
made
right
for her.
Yeah.
Even the ones that should look dumb, dumb, like costumey or like bad, look amazing on her.
Yeah.
And she pulls it off, and her makeup's flawless, and
the hair.
House, yes, and her hair.
And you buy that the 3 of them are a family. There's not one point of the film where I was not sold that they are all related and Cher is the mom.
Yeah, and they I read in that Winona Ryder and Cher have both given interviews throughout their careers, and they said that when they met, it was like, that was it. They're like instantly connected and getting along, and like had that chemistry right away. And I think that really poured through. Winona Ryder was amazing in this movie.
Film. Oh, so good.
Let's see a sequel with all 3 of them.
Oh, right? Hey, I would
now
like that.
Grown up. That would be really, really interesting.
Now, where's Lou? I don't think Bob Hoskins is around anymore, though.
Oh, I don't know. I loved him in this film. Bob Hoskins was
so good.
This is the thing.
So sexy,
right?
So sexual.
His expressions, his facial expressions.
Anytime.
You think that's where that scene in Titanic came from?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, and he's such a bad painter in the film. Oh man. But
so
his
bad.
facial expressions are so like, I don't know. They just make you like, oh my God, I want to be his friend.
He's
You know what I mean?
tickled pink by her and her daughters.
Yeah.
And also, I love how he calls her out on her bullshit.
Oh
and
yeah. The scene when she comes back from Boston and he made dinner with the daughters and paints the room, and then they get in that fight, and when he says, "I've never wanted to hit a woman so much,"
I had an issue with.
But you got to remember the time that
1963.
That is true, but I'm like, Bob Hoskins, how often are you thinking about hitting women?
I know.
I never wanted to hit.
So that, but, and he says, when you're wrong, you're so wrong. And then the scene on the stairs, and he says, us, and the look on his face when she starts saying, there is no us, me and the girls are, and he's like,
I meant us.
He's like, girl, I meant us. Like, oh, that, like, oh man.
This was Oscar-worthy acting on his part for sure.
I thought all the acting in the film was great. There was not a weak chain, but we do have to talk about,
except for Jake Ryan.
I was just
let's
going
be
to bring
honest.
up Jake Ryan. All he has to do is
Jake
just
Ryan
stand there.
ever? No, he doesn't act. He just is.
Smolders.
Everyone's like.
I felt like he was reading cue cards, or like he had the lines written down on his hand.
That's him in every movie.
Look at 16 Candles. No, 16 Candles. He was better.
He was better in 16 Candles.
He was more
like,
the eye candy.
He is the eye candy. He's the hunk of the film.
Are you on Quaaludes? Is what I was thinking. Like he was speaking so slowly, and I was like, "What backstory have you given yourself, Jake Ryan?
Yeah,
that necessitates this sort of."
The actor, Michael, how do you say his last name?
Sheffield.
Sheffield? No. Is it Sheffield?
Yes.
How do you Oh, yeah. Is that
maybe.
It, Rob?
Don't everyone look it up. Everyone just get mad at us because you know that the people
shuffling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, you know the people that know this. If you're watching at home, are just sitting at home screaming.
They're yelling. Yeah. We just know him as Jake Ryan.
Jake Ryan.
I do like.
That's not even his name in this movie.
No, it's not. But everybody knows him as Jake Ryan from 60 Candles. His name is Joe in the film. I do love where it's set in Massachusetts up there. But do you notice they film during Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, but there's never any snow. Never any snow.
No, that's a continuity
I didn't notice that. Yeah. You're right.
Never any snow. And when she says the line about AstroTurf wasn't invented till 1965. And it was 1963.
So, yeah, I had that issue with her costume as well. I was
Which
like,
one?
this is a very her mermaid costume.
Oh, yeah. The mermaid was totally not what you would have gotten in 1963.
Yeah, like the wig was 80s. The whole thing was 80s. And I was like, I do not think that this is how in the 60s you would dress up to be a mermaid.
But it's Cher, so nobody cared.
Exactly. The rest of the costumers or costumed people, where they're dressed up like pilgrims and that kind of stuff. I'm like, that is costumes.
What are some of the most memorable lines in the film for both of you?
So when she says, please God, don't let me fall in love and want to do disgusting things, that's obviously the best.
Yeah. I like when she looks out the window and she goes, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't do anything I would.
I used to say that to my roommate in college.
Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous. A real woman is never too old.
Yeah. I love that. And what is the Christina Ricci and Cher on the thing, and they're like, staying in one place is dying, is staying in, or dwelling on the past, or staying in one place too long.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Or this prayer: give me strength to not sit on his lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she did lick his jacket.
Oh, which is so funny. And when she turns the thermos around and she's like, his lips are touching mine.
My lips, yes.
So funny. And a lot of her inner monologues, I have had similar ones.
Oh,
the thermos, his lips are touching mine. I have had
100%.
Right?
Like, we are now kissing.
Yep.
Their age difference is creepy.
That's what I wanted to talk about because
Pedophilia.
How old is Joe in the film?
14, right? Or 15?
26.
No, Joe, 26.
Oh, sorry.
26, and she's supposed to be 15.
And everybody's okay with them dating?
Her
Everybody's
mom encourages it. Her mom's like, "You're old enough for a boyfriend now. Go get it, girl."
Yeah. Was that a norm in 1963?
I feel like it kind of was maybe a little bit more acceptable.
Okay.
It still should have had people wagging their finger.
Also the line where Cher's like, "What do you want to do here?" And she's like, "I want to finish high school." And she's like, "Oh yeah, what's your major going to be? Town tramp?" And she's like, "No, mom, the town already has a
We have
tramp."
that scene. Let's watch that
yes,
scene.
please
It's the
play
best
that.
fight scene.
Please, it's so good.
And the acting is so good in
So
this
good.
scene. I love it.
Yes.
I am sick and tired of being judged by you. You're a kid. Okay, when you become an adult, you can live your life any way you want to. But until then, we're going to live my life my way. Start packing. No! I said pack! This move is on you, and if Loverboy doesn't like it, that's too goddamn bad.
This is not about him. This is about me, okay? That's over. He is gone. He is last gone.
Surprise, surprise!
No, it's not like that. Look, maybe your life works for you, but it doesn't work for me. And I want to stay.
And do what?
Finish high school.
Great start. What's your major, town tramp?
No, Mom, the town already has one.
I love that. There is a line in that fight scene that I remember actually saying to my mom.
Oh my God, amazing.
If your life doesn't work for me, because she was Jehovah's Witness, still is. And I remember when I knew I wasn't going to stay in the religion. I've had that same conversation, like it works for you, but that's not my life. Your life is not going to be my life. I remember.
I don't want your life.
Did you know she actually slept with Winona Ryder in that scene? For that take, they did it a few times.
It sounded like it.
And in that take that they used for the film, she actually slapped her.
I was like, I said it to myself today. I was like, that's a real slap.
Yeah.
I said it to myself. I was like, holy moly.
That was real.
That was real. It's a real slap.
Oh man, that scene, I'm like, shoot, that reminds me of when I was a kid.
Oh my God, I know.
Nightmare to my mother.
Yeah.
All right.
I remember thinking even the fight was nice because like my mom wouldn't even give me attention to fight. So I remember thinking,
yeah, right. Right?
Yeah, Cher did not at first. The first instant, she ignored her.
All right, let's get into what Lena thinks of this.
So this is the first time Lena has ever seen. What? Go ahead, Brynne.
It's halfway through. So should we do 6 degrees?
Yes, let's pick 6 degrees so everybody can think about it before the end of the show. Go ahead. Okay. Who should we pick?
I think we should do someone
other than Cher.
Yeah. So Winona Ryder or Christina Ricci.
What about Christina Ricci?
And then if we're gonna do someone from the next movie,
which is,
we'll say it at the end. But I'll say let's do Sharon Stone.
Yeah, Christina
Ricci to Sharon Stone.
Oh my God.
Well, we can do it. Okay.
Hard. Okay, we'll figure it out by the end of the show.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Weren't they in a movie together where she had a pig snout?
Sharon Stone?
No, Penelope.
Ricci. Yes.
Yeah.
But Sharon Stone wasn't in that film.
Stone wasn't in that
movie. Not
movie.
in Penelope.
I thought she had a minor role.
I don't think she did.
There was a Cusack in that movie and a Witherspoon.
Maybe I remember Witherspoon.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So Jonsy has never seen this film ever until now. So let's get your take on it watching from virgin eyes. Yeah, such a fitting phrase for this film.
It is so fitting.
From virgin eyes. What did you think, Jonsy?
I loved the film.
Okay.
I really did. Like I said at the top, I feel like this film does have a plot if you look at it from Winona Ryder's lens. I think Cher was a very bad mother.
Disagree.
I felt like there was a lot of neglect, which I feel like is
around. Okay, I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah. I have to chime in later on that.
Yeah.
Chime in now. Go ahead.
See, you grew up with two.
Everyone needs a babysitter.
Yeah, and you grew up with 2 parental units. My mom worked all the time, so there was no choice But for us to take care of ourselves, you learn it early, and you just.
And I was the oldest of 4 kids, so
Yeah.
I understand being the third parent. I understand being the forever babysitter, but I still feel like there were a lot of moments where Winona's character was parenting her sister.
She put herself in that role, okay?
Yeah, I agree.
Climax of the movie, that whole scene would not have happened if there was a parent being a parent.
She can't have one night off.
And wait,
is that the first night she had off? Because the whole movie shows otherwise.
I disagree. No,
I don't think that a single mother's social life should be the primary care of the families. And
I disagree with that as well.
So wait, let's stop for a second. Brynne is actually a mother and has a daughter. So you're speaking from a mother point of view, which I think is great.
Hell yeah. Let Cher go out, okay?
And have a night off.
I do think it was messed up when she kissed Jake Ryan in front of the house.
That was so messed up.
And then she was very flippant about it. I didn't like that.
But also the Rachel Flack's character, who is never referred to most of the movie as Rachel, it's Mrs. Flax. Mrs. Flax even says at one point, "You two did not come with a handbook. I'm going to make mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning it pretty much as I go along." You know what I mean? I didn't think there was neglect. I didn't think she was a bad parent.
He's making them hors d'oeuvres. How many toothpicks does this woman have?
She was involved with their life. Huh?
I'm infamous for never making a meal, but rather making them hors d'oeuvres or star-shaped sandwiches.
What's wrong with that?
Neglectful parenting.
What's wrong with that?
I love that.
You should be able, at some point in your child's life, be able to make your child a meal.
Which I'm sure she did at some point.
In the movie, they literally say she's never made a meal in her life.
They had an hors d'oeuvres, an entree, and a dessert. Healthy.
True, Brynne.
They were healthy?
Yeah.
Healthy. Was anything healthy in 1963?
I mean, that's fair. People ate like Jell-O mold.
I was going to say that,
yeah. Weird Jell-O mold. What else, Jonsy, about this film?
I mean, I really did. Also, the pedophilia bothered me a lot.
That is what it is.
Jake Ryan's character, I know that's not his name, was a horrible human being. He should have stopped that relationship so early on.
Yeah.
And he should have stopped the kiss with the mom. Like, all of that. So wrong.
Maybe he was
Cher
just
comes
dumb.
up to kiss you and you're going to push her away? I don't think
I'm going after her daughter and I am after little kids, then yeah.
So I saw it from a young gay man's point of view. Oh my God, I would have loved to have an older gentleman like Jake Ryan.
Oh yeah.
Coming
I'm
after
not
me.
saying that's not what I wanted. I wanted a Jake Ryan to kiss me when I was 15, but that's wrong.
It is legally
wrong. Yeah.
Yes. And okay, here's another thing. Going back to the neglect. You want to know how I know she's a neglectful parent? Because when Winona runs away, what does she want? She wants a mom and dad and a family unit that can take care of her and listen to her. Because here's my big thing from the film of why I think Cher was a neglectful mom is she never gave Winona Ryder until the very, 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 very end the space to be herself. She was always trying to project onto her different experiences that she had had or was just not seeing her daughter's experiences at all or made light of them. And to me, that's not a good parent.
That's what parents do, though.
But that's bad parenting.
But wouldn't you say Cher did the same thing to Winona Ryder? Or Winona Ryder did the same thing to Cher? She judged her for her life.
Yeah. She's a child.
She's a teenager.
But she's a teenager, but she wants this life. But really, it's like you always want the life you don't have.
Yeah.
Like,
also,
it wasn't Cher's fault the dad wasn't around. It was the dad's fault.
There is there is a
never
point.
gave her a stable home.
I did not know this movie was going to get so
I
heated.
know. Also,
It was Cher's fault that she never gave her a stable home.
Cher's character in the film tells Charlotte, "You were only a year younger than me when I had you." So, Rachel Flax's character was a young adult. She wasn't a grown up. She wasn't like a 30, 40-year-old woman with life.
They had a nice ass house. They had a nice car. She registered them for school right away. Went to back to school night.
She was a swim
for
team.
For the first time, and she only went to back to school night because she wanted that Bob Hoskins tail.
Well, I respect the game.
I'm just saying, don't act like she was doing that for her daughter.
I thought she was a great parent in the film. I would have wanted a Rachel Flax as a mother.
I
or
grew up
be a
watching
Rachel
that movie
Flax.
thinking, yeah, this is the mom I want to be like, and what a nice mom to have. And in the end, they're still happy together.
You know what's really crazy is
I would like to see the sequel.
All of the all of the 100 times I have watched this film, I never once thought the character of Rachel Flax was a horrible parent.
Never once.
Never once.
I don't think she's a horrible parent. I think
or even a bad parent.
She's a neglectful mother.
Never once.
I never
did
got
it
that.
No, me neither.
I grew up in a family where you had an overbearing mother who was involved in every aspect of your life, made breakfast, didn't let me have a cafeteria lunch because she made my lunch. I'm not saying that's the right style of parenting.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I can tell you from the church's perspective, a single parent is bad.
Yeah. So what would your parents? Yeah. Let's talk about Mama and Papa Jones.
Whoa, wait, before we go there, I have an interesting, when you just said the church looks at a single parent as being bad. When we were growing up as Jehovah's Witnesses, which I left the religion like when I was 17, 18. But I remember going to meetings, they were called meetings, and my mom got that what's it called? Like that feeling from
that vibe.
That vibe. As because she was a single mother raising 4 kids on her own. People judged her in the church for it.
It's awful, but they judge the parent who stays more than they judge the parent that leaves.
That is so true, Jonsy.
Like, shouldn't you be supporting them? They're in your church. They have the same.
Oh no, the church will support them, but while judging them behind their back.
Would you
and
say,
also with a heavy dose of pity going, well, I don't know what you did to bring about this situation upon you and your children, but I guess I'll help you because I'm such a good person.
You're so right. That pity, that attitude, I remember my mom dealing with when we were
and I remember
going
growing up, especially as a teenage girl, and basically the worst thing that I could ever become was a parent of a child out of wedlock.
Yeah.
That was
it's the same thing in Catholicism.
So much. Yes, that would have been the worst thing I could ever do to myself, to that child, to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And no discussion was ever about the guy.
Yeah. I think because of that attitude that the religion gave my mom, that's kind of was one of the seeds that really made me resent organized religion. Because you were supposed to be an organization that is loving, supportive, but yet you're pitying and judging a woman who it wasn't her choice to raise us all by herself. It was my dad's the one who left. Yeah. But they had that just that vibe towards her and look down on us as the kids.
She's lesser than.
Yes. And I think that really stems a lot of my dislike for the religion. It really did.
And also it spreads. The kids are therefore lesser than because they did not have a 2-parent household. There's no way that those kids from that family, to the point when I was growing up and I wasn't allowed to date when I was in high school. So I didn't date until I was in college, really. But when I did, my parents would ask if they came from a home with 2 parents. And if they didn't, I dated a guy whose mom had been divorced 3 times and then had been with her 4th husband for about 10 years. And my parents were very, very upset about that fact alone. There were other things they didn't like, but they were like, you should not be with someone whose mom has been divorced 4 times. There's no way you're going to have a successful relationship. He's not going to be a good person. There's no way that he could be. Yeah. We didn't have a successful relationship. He wasn't a good person.
For other reasons.
None of that was because. Yeah. But yeah, it's very much ingrained that a 2-parent household, even if it's abusive, alcoholic, love, empty, anything, is still better than a 1-parent household, which is always a single mother household. If it's a single father, we pity him in a different way. We pity him in a way that we admire him.
Yeah, it is so now. Like, this movie brought up all of that for me, which is interesting because I think it's interesting that, Lena, you had a different childhood within the religion, different than what I grew up in. Very organized religion. Do you know what I mean? But still, it was still somewhat the same and very restricted. Yes. And the religious guilt in this film that Charlotte's character
she
goes
puts on
through.
Herself.
Yeah, she does.
And that's
none of it's coming from her mom.
It's reactionary to her mom and her mom.
Well, because they're not Catholic.
They're Jewish.
We're not Catholic. We're Jewish.
Oh, interesting.
We're not Greek. We're Jewish. Yeah.
Interesting fact, though. In an interview that Winona Ryder did for the film about Charlotte, she says that she believes the character of Charlotte was never going to be a nun. It was just what she was interested in at the moment, and a lot of it was to rebel against what her mother was doing.
Agreed. Yeah. And I got that vibe as well.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
You know, I actually wrote a note. I was just like, teenagers are weird, man. So weird.
Yeah.
Because it is that thing that it's rebelling for rebellion's sake. Because if your parent, it goes to show, like, it's like if your parents are religious, then you do whatever. But then if your parents aren't religious, then you become religious. So it's like rebelling in the weirdest ways, like just against what you're being taught and seen.
Yeah.
Well, and if you see your mom as a sinner, then you're going to become pious.
True.
But I think part of the movie that I really liked is that the town didn't seem to shun her, or like she got invited to the New Year's party and the coach came up to her and was like, Christina Ricci is so great at swim. But did you catch it that the female coach ran up and then
the lesbian couple? I love that. I love that. I noticed it the first time I watched the
classic PE teacher trope.
And the teacher in the car, Miss Carter, is the same teacher who busts the girl smoking in the bathroom at the beginning.
Yeah.
And did you know in that swim meet scene, the 2 kids sitting directly behind Cher and Winona Ryder is Christina Ricci's brother and sister?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. In the film.
Cool.
I will say I perceived her interaction with the town quite differently.
Oh, really?
I are just looking at this movie from a completely different angle.
No, it's so
than Tony and I.
So
what?
Okay, I will say there were people in the town that accepted her, and I feel like they pointed out, and with reason, the people in the town that accepted her. So Bob Hoskins, the single Jewish shoe store owner whose wife left him.
Yeah.
So he's already defunct. And then we've got the lesbian coach, defunct in a religious world. I'm saying in all of this in a religious world, right?
Okay.
And then the makeup lady who is in the 1963, a working woman, defunct. Mm-hmm. And then we go to parents' night at the school. She did not. And also, what was it? Oh, yeah, it was still parents' night. All of the parents avoided her. And if you watch the scenes in the background, they're gossiping about her in the background. So the parents did not like her. It was the career woman. It was the lesbian coach. It was the...
I did not.
That's my point.
You know what I saw with that is that the character of Rachel, the character of Rachel Flax knew this and did not give 2 fucks about it.
Correct.
And I think that resonated more than the people in the background or people may not accepting her in the town. Half of her not getting accepted by the people in the town was her choice not to be accepted by these people.
I agree wholeheartedly. I'm saying that's why there was the distinction between the group of people that accepted her, and then you saw the scenes where there were groups of people who weren't accepting her, and her just going, I'm gonna live my life.
I guess that wasn't really highlighted for me.
Me neither. I didn't even notice it, really.
In a movie like this, if that was going to be part of the tension, that they would highlight it.
I felt it was highlighted.
I didn't think there was any tension within the town.
What
and
about
how they viewed her at all?
What about when her first scene when she's working for the lawyer and there's the lawyer's fiance?
Yeah.
That was another scene where she's getting disdain for who she is.
I thought that was just like, look at this beautiful woman.
I did too.
Working for my fiance. I don't like this.
Yeah, that's how I read it.
Got the feeling that it was, I know the types that take this job. I see you're a single parent because your kids are outside the window. I'm judging you.
I didn't get that
vibe
at
this
all.
movie. Yeah,
I got the vibe that
on Mars and we are on Venus.
I got the vibe that
the point of this show.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. But I got the vibe that she was looking at her like this woman's gonna take my man because
my
she thought
fiance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Not about being a single mother or any of that.
But that's the same way that but to me, that's why people judge single mothers well, you're a loose cannon. I can't figure you out because you should have figured out your spouse to make him stay.
Yeah,
or your baby daddy.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I'm not saying this is right. I'm saying this is the viewpoint that people who judge single mothers take.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with the point that you're making, Lena, which is that single mothers are terrible. And
I'm not.
Oh, Brynne, it's okay.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Like I'm a
I want to know, Lena,
I
want to know, Lena, what your parents would have thought of this movie.
I've literally everything I've been saying the past few minutes is what they would be saying.
You know,
I am everything that I'm saying about single mothers is what I was raised because they thought that about single mothers. Like I said, that was the worst thing that I could ever be. And I was shunned from before I even was close to puberty to don't you ever let yourself be in this situation.
That situation.
Yeah.
So what would Ma and Pa Jones say? Everything I just said.
So they would have hated the film.
I have no doubt that they saw this movie and ripped it apart, thought, it was every representation of bad parenting, every representation of how you could go wrong and make a bad teenager, because the other thing that would be the worst thing I could ever do is just premarital sex. Even if he kept a rubber on, that still would have been the worst thing.
Would have been.
They're tied. Having a child out of wedlock and premarital sex, the worst things you can do.
Do you think that's why that's probably why you looked at this film going, she was a neglectful parent because of your parents' beliefs and what they raised you? So that you're watching it kind of through those eyes, actually. The film.
I'm not lying. I'm not denying that. I'm not trying to say that's not the lens that I'm viewing it through.
Yeah.
But it is. I also can recognize that that's bullshit. And that single mothers have the hardest job of anyone you could ever.
Yep.
I would even argue they have a harder job than the president.
Yeah.
So I have so many single mother friends, and I think they are amazing, strong, fierce women who are doing so many things I can't even imagine. That do I ever want to disparage them? No. Do I think leaving your kid alone to raise another kid? I feel like the climax scene could have been prevented.
But it's all circumstantial
Because we
too.
also-
No, it's all circumstantial. You say
We also
leaving
never
the
know
mom
why
to
she
another. Hold on, leaving the daughter, another child to raise the younger children. Sometimes, as a single parent, you don't have a choice because you have to go out and put food on the table for your kids. Because you do not have a spouse, so you
I
kind
would
of
say,
have
like,
no other choice.
I'm not
I know
trying
that's
to beat
like,
up
I-
on single mothers
Yeah.
that don't have another choice. I don't want to sound that insensitive. I just think that there were better ways that Cher could have been present for her children before a tragedy happens. It would have been great if she had worked harder through the film to connect with Winona, because she knew she was going through something. And yes, there was one scene where she made an effort, but I felt like there were a lot more scenes where she kind of did what a lot of parents do to teenagers, and just brush them off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna categorically disagree, but we have some stuff. We have stuff to wrap up. Like, I did not know this movie was going to be so
I
controversial.
know.
Maybe this is how we create a Patreon where we have the follow-up show where we just need to wrap up, but
You
we
know,
still have more to say.
One of my favorite parts of the film is when Christina Ricci puts on the pumpkin head
pumpkin.
and she
So
walks in
random.
Rachel Flax.
Christina
I think
Ricci was the best part
I
of
know.
this movie.
I think we have that. Do we have that pretty soon? I want to play it.
Oh no, we have like 3 minutes left of this podcast. Are you playing it? Because it's like Cher's genuine reaction to it.
I know. She's like, you dumb little idiot. It's like a reaction. I mean, we can go on for another hour about this film. There was a lot of other stuff we didn't unpack. But since we're running out of time, I do want to go through our final grades for the film. So I know last week, Brynne, you gave the film what grade originally?
I think I gave it an A.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I would continue taking off my nostalgia goggles to give it an A.
I love how you always have just one.
I know.
I didn't want to move my other hand. You guys don't see me, but on the pod, I take off my nostalgia goggles every
But
time.
she only has one. It's like a monocle. Like
My
Heather.
nostalgia
Like
monocle.
Winona Ryder's character in Heather.
Others, yeah. Tony, what about you?
Last
Rating.
week I gave it an A+. This week I'm giving it an A++++++++.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. I love it. If anything, the film got better this time around for me.
Yes, agree.
100%. How about you, Jonesy?
I
First time watching
this
it?
film an A+.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
I really did enjoy this film. I enjoyed the coming of age. I enjoyed
It's a feel-good
the
film.
girl's sexual awakening.
I enjoy girls' sexual awakenings.
Well, I have so much more to say about this film.
I know. We didn't unpack
I know.
the religious
You need to
guilt.
know what are we all pairing this film with? Lena,
Yes.
what would you pair this film with?
I guess a marshmallow hard
Kebab.
fruit candy kebab,
Yeah.
Love it.
and a Christina Ricci chugged red wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
like
a good mix.
Double hands, just
I know. What about you, Brynne?
I'm gonna say
Sugar
like
overload.
sangria, like a cheap sangria,
Uh-huh.
and like Vienna sausages with toothpicks.
that's the best. That's a better pairing than mine.
I'm gonna go with a holiday fruit, like a fruit punch that's spiked.
Yes, I love that.
And like if I had to pick something now, like taquitos or a nice like a taquitos.
Yes, a taquito. Yes,
That's what I would pair it with.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna do. This is gonna be a nightmare because I don't know how we're gonna get how Jonesy and I are gonna figure out Bob Christina
Ricci
and Sharon Stone. 6
I
degrees.
already figured it out, but do you
Of
want me
course
to
you
give it
did.
to you
Are
guys?
you kidding me?
Are you
Did
shocked?
you
Tony?
really? I'm
Are
not
you
shocked. I wonder, Jonesy, if we're ever going to get one or if it's always going to be Brynne that gets it and figures it out.
I came close once.
Once. I haven't come close at all.
You haven't
Do I
even
even
made
try?
an effort.
No.
You could try.
No. Go ahead, Brynne. Give it to us. Give it to
So
us.
Christina Ricci was in Addams Family with Angelica Houston. Angelica Houston was in The Life Aquatic or Royal Tenenbaums with Bill Murray. Bill Murray was in Groundhog's Day with Andy McDowell. Andy McDowell was in The Muse with Sharon Stone.
What movie with Sharon Stone?
The Muse.
I
heard of it.
used to love that movie, The Muse.
I love that movie. We should
where
watch
she
it.
plays the Muse.
She plays a
She's
muse.
a Hollywood
Add it
writer,
to the
right?
list.
Sharon Stone is a
Yeah.
muse. We should watch it.
And the Royal Tenenbaums. I love with the finger, the wooden finger.
Love
Gwyneth
it.
Paltrow's wooden finger.
Yes,
Yes.
I love it.
But that is Mermaids, everybody. That was a good one. I wish we had more time to unpack more of this.
No.
Oh man, but it's a great film. Everybody go watch Mermaids. I mean, the cast alone. Come on.
Amazing.
I highly recommend it, even with all
Very
my
good
problems.
Yes.
Can we tell
So-
them what we're watching next week?
Yes. So next week is Brynne's pick. What are we watching, Brynne?
And I
film I'm
picked Total Recall, bitches.
The original. Total
The
Recall.
original. Tony
There's
and I
more than one.
Yeah, there's two.
Yeah. Well, they
Tony and I
remade it.
will recall that this is a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see what Lena thinks. waiting for that.
I'm excited for this because we had
Me
picked
too.
this and I was like, I love this film.
Tony, let's do our grades.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would give it a solid. From what I remember, because it's been a long time since I watched the original, I'm going to give it a B.
I'm also going to give it a B.
Okay.
Yes.
Why are you guys making me watch a film that's a B film?
B films are good too.
because It's really fun.
Yeah, you're gonna hopefully enjoy it. What do you think this is about, Jonesy?
I honestly have no clue. I know that this film and the one with Harrison Ford that came out around the same time, I always confuse as the same movie.
Okay. So what do you think Total Recall's about?
I honestly have no fucking clue.
None
I
whatsoever?
have no guesses.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm looking at I pulled up the cover right now and it's
Yeah.
literally just an eyeball.
Not a thought is coming into your head.
Nothing's coming into your
Nothing.
head. Get ready for the ride of your life.
I
Tagline.
guess that he is going to remember shit that he doesn't want to remember, maybe past live shit. Because it's Total Recall. Like, I honestly have no fucking clue what this movie
I am going to be very
That's
curious
pretty
to
good.
see
Yeah.
Jonesy's reaction to this film
Total
after
Recall.
she watches
This
it.
one has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
We're
right?
giving
Yes.
we're giving it a B, but it's like it's a rite of passage.
Yeah,
Everyone has to watch Total Recall. It's cheesy, but it's amazing. Like you're gonna like it.
Isn't the same thing with the Harrison Ford movie that came out around the same time, right? And it had the chick from The Mask.
I don't remember
No?
that Harrison Ford
Anybody?
movie. No. I
Are you
don't
talking
know.
about regarding Henry?
No,
Regarding
it was
Henry
another.
is nothing like Total Recall. Oh man, but yes, Total Recall is the next film which we are going to watch next week. But how do people find us, Jonesy?
Blade Runner.
Blade
Yeah,
Runner.
that is
Yes,
similar
yeah,
to
that
Blade
makes
Runner.
sense.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You're
I
right.
confused Blade Runner
Sean Young,
and
yeah.
this movie
Yep, Sean
as
Young, yeah.
being the same movie. Also, I've not seen either one.
Blade Runner's on the list. So people can find us where, Jonesy? Give them our Instagram and all that.
Filmspringa on IG, and that's literally FILMSPRINGA. We are also at filmspringa@gmail.com if you want to send us an email because you're old school like that. And eventually we might be on Twitter. We're also on Facebook at You can find us at Filmspringa, same spelling. There's no one else who has our name.
Yes. And leave a review, a comment. It helps us out a lot wherever you get
DMS.
podcasts and all of that good stuff. And you can see us on YouTube every Thursday night at 8 p.m. We record live. So if you missed the podcast or you want to watch our beautiful faces, you can see us there. But that is it for us. And we will see everybody next week. Bye.